Hey guys, VSIC here. This will be my only video today. And I just wanted to talk about this real quick because I just wanted to talk about it. And because of the things that I've been seeing recently, of course, I have noticed, in the past decade at the very least, ugh, that the incel, group, etc., has becoming more and more of a thing recently. And they have estimated that possibly over 100,000, if not more so, of people seem to think in this direction. Now, I also want to state how, before we get to, what people think of some of the things that they say, one thing that a couple people were on my channel trying to say to me, and they were probably incels, they were trying to say something to me like I was making, the group look bad. And I just thought that was hilarious when they said that to me because I'll show you something real quick. Now, when you put in what is an incel, you can do this right now. Put in what is an incel. You know what the first thing you're going to get is? The first thing, Wikipedia. At least 6 mass murderers, resulting in a total of 44 deaths, have been committed since 2014 by men who have either self-identified as incels or had mentioned incel-related names in writings in their private writings or internet postings. Incel communities have been criticized by the media and researchers for being misogynistic, encouraging violence, spreading extremist views, and radicalizing their members. Beginning in 2018, the incel ideology has been increasingly been described as a terrorism threat. And a February 2020 attack in Toronto, Canada became the first instance of allegedly incel-related violence to be prosecuted as an act of terrorism. And that was the second paragraph I read right there. If you want to, you can read the rest on Wikipedia if you'd like. But for now, I will just put that away. So, moving on. So, I have written down a few things that either an incel has said to me, or I have seen in one of their little Reddit deals from their community. And, sometimes I just think that people like to talk shit. Don't get me wrong. You have your right to talk shit. You have your right to go wherever and speak whatever you think. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't a catch. Because we actually have, in general speaking, a right to be a jackass. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to like us, for instance. And even if we were able to legally, let's say, have sex with children, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to think badly about us, is the thing. Even if we did it legally. Now, here are some things that they have stated in the way that I and other people tend to think about it. So, I've, of course, heard a lot of incels say women owe us sex. How somehow women owe them sex because of how great they think they are. Because they're such nice guys. Now, like I stated in my, Nice Guys Don't Finish last video, if you're into something only for the sex, you are not a nice guy. And second, even if you're a nice person or like the greatest person on the planet, let's say, that doesn't mean that I and other people on this planet owe you sex. And also, I have not met a single woman on this planet that likes to be forced to do anything, especially sex, which would be rape, by the way. So to answer these people's questions on how much sex women owe them, they don't owe them jack shit. None of them do. Nobody owes you sex. Now, in the past, people used to get away with sexual harassment and rape in the past. And this wasn't all that long ago, actually. However, things have changed because eventually women had enough of it. Because in the past, in recent past even, they were basically being treated like some people treat, our sex dolls nowadays. Like they're just, animate objects that did their chores, stayed in the house, had sex with them whenever they would come home and felt like it, etc. They were basically just being treated like pieces of meat that had sex with them at the time. Which is of course why, at the time, feminism became a thing and they fought for equal rights. They didn't fight for more than equal rights, they fought for equal rights. If you don't believe me, just look into some detailed history. But moving on. Now, I remember a few others, and I've even seen this in their Reddits. We have to have sex. Now, don't get me wrong, saying something like you need sex in the right context is okay. We all sometimes can be a little bit desperate for sex. It's kind of a normal thing, it happens. But to say something like we have to have sex in order to live. I mean, like I've said, I haven't had sex in years, guys. I mean, shit, I haven't had sex in years. But let me tell you something about sex. I mean, if you, let's say, have a love doll, and I've even seen some incels say shit like, oh, I have a love doll because it can't get laid. Well, let me tell you something about that. Sex is a little bit overhyped. I mean, you average sex, everyday sex, it's overhyped. So, when it comes to sex, if you really want to know what sex is like, just get a love doll. And it's almost the same thing, to be frank, when you have sex with a love doll. Especially if you get them drunk. I mean, if you've ever had sex with a drunk person before, they seriously just lay there. I'm not joking either. I mean, it's almost essentially the same thing. So, I mean, if you've ever had sex with a love doll, I mean, it's seriously as close to sex. It feels the same. The dolls look like, real people, etc. I mean, what else do I have to say? I mean, of course, you could probably easily enough find somebody that's better in bed than a love doll, but I'm just saying, like there's a lot of people that they just lay there and just have you do the work. I mean, I actually had to break up with a couple women because of that. And I actually just ended up not even having sex with them, to be frank, because they just laid there. And, it's not like you're going to die if you don't get laid by 20 or something. I mean, look at me. I'm 30 years old. I actually didn't even lose my virginity, actually fully lose my virginity until I was over 20 years old. And I'm doing just fine. I'm not all worried about other people having more sex with me and all that. I mean, come on. Life isn't just a fucking game. Just get over it. Sometimes people have more sex than you, and it happens. And I wish that sex was a little, maybe that much easier to get. But sex is also something that is widely available. So you can get sex, you can get it, but you can't just get sex. Sex doesn't work like a button. I wish it did, but it doesn't. But at the same time, that's the reason why I got a love doll. Because sex works like the press of a button with love dolls, but not people. This next thing that they stated. Women are just choosing to not sleep with us and going out with other guys anyway. Well, again, they don't owe you sex. if for any reason they don't want to have sex with you, they can do that. Moving on. They are making us lonely. Now, nobody in a sense is quite literally making you lonely on purpose. Now, I always thought it was funny how, people talk like if you aren't married, then you're a lonely loser. Well, to be frank with you, that's not true. In fact, when I was a kid, I actually used to be, I used to think the same thing when I was a kid. If I didn't get married, I'd be this lonely loser. But that's just not how it is. In fact, I mean, I've noticed that since I'm actually single, I have more of a wide range of people to talk to versus, let's say being married. If you're getting married, most of the time the people that you're talking to are other married people. And that's just how it is when you get married because, well, moving on. So the next thing, you have to have lots of money to, all right, you have to have lots of money, be tall, be good looking, etc., just to get laid. I can't believe how many times I've heard this in the past few years from guys. I've also heard things like, you can't be yourself in order to get laid. Well, I'm not saying that not being yourself won't get you laid. However, actually looking for the people that you get along with and actually having things in common with is a lot better for vets to make you happy, actually, in the long run. Besides, let's say also, if you're not, let's say, some people, they tried the bad boy game. If, let's say, you aren't really a bad boy, you know, and you're trying to act like a bad boy, people are going to be able to tell. They just, let me tell you, they're going to be able to tell if you are not really a bad boy or not, or if you are one or not, whatever. But just seriously, just be yourself. I mean, watch what you say and everything when you talk to people, and make sure you're not, you know, fucking up so much. But at the same time, seriously, just be yourself. Just don't try to be somebody else. Take it from me, it just doesn't fucking work. And you're and so let's say you are successful to some extent while trying to be somebody else. Well, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to fake it for the rest of your life, and you're probably going to be unhappy for the rest of it too. So seriously, just be yourself, man, and have confidence in yourself. Besides, like I've said in one of my previous videos, I've seriously have seen guys that look like fucking ugly hamsters, and I've even seen them get laid. No offense. Next thing, we're going to get them back for rejecting us. Now, close this here. Okay, so I remember that is actually something that Elliot Rodgers said, and I've seen some other incels say. So, let me ask you this. So, this person rejects you, and then they move on, and then you get pissed off and you kill them. So, how is that going to work out for you? Okay? How is killing somebody after them rejecting you going to make them reject you less? I mean, it's not going to make them want you more, that's for damn sure. I mean, especially when they're dead. I mean, well, there you go. Now you have zero chance of getting them, I guess. I mean, I guess unless you're a necrophiliac and you're into that kind of stuff, I guess. But I think you get my point. I mean, how does that gonna fucking fix the situation? What if somebody rejects you and then you kill them because you felt that they were trying to get you by rejecting you or something? Now, and also, don't take rejection so damn personal. Just because somebody doesn't want to go out with you or want to have sex with you doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, or that, it doesn't mean even things like you aren't good enough, because life just isn't a game like that. Life is more about survival. It's not about a game. It's more about survival than it is a game. Of course, you'll always find those people that will try to take advantage, of life's, privileges, to say the least. And also that thing about, we have to have sex. What that's going to say to somebody is that you were too hungry for sex. And like I said in one of my other previous videos, I was at one point a little bit hungry for sex. But that was also before I actually had sex. And once I actually started getting into, second base and everything, and actually started getting into sex, I realized that it was a bit overrated and I calmed down a bit, which is one of the things that I tend to try to teach on my channel. So don't let those commercials and those movies overhype sex. And also the same for your friends. Also, another thing, most people tend to lie about their sex lives. They seriously do. I mean, I sure as heck don't. And I could seriously care less about what people think about my sex life. I'm serious. I will actually be straight up about my sex life. Not that people really need to know anyway. And yeah, people just, in general, they don't really care about your sex life. I mean, you'll find those idiots out there that will try to make fun of your sex life. But those people are just idiots. You don't need to care about what they think of you. They probably don't know you. So just move on. Don't worry about them. That being said, I guess I'll just end this video and also just think about what I said, because I'm actually not making anybody look bad. So, again, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.